welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper. It's summer, and I am so excited to make some summer videos over the next few weeks. And this first one is Throwback Thursday to an author that I associate with summer. I have read 3 of her novels, and the air of them, the way they make me feel, I always remember where I was and what I was doing when I read them. And I was here in this place where I live, and they bring me right back. So the first thing to do is introduce you to the author, and the author is Sue Monk Kidd. If you've read Sue Monk Kidd, you're probably smiling like I am too, but I was first introduced to her because I read The Secret Life of Bees. I love this cover. It was a bestseller. It was all the rage at the time, and it was published in 2002. It was made into a movie, definitely a popular one, but the book itself I read first, and it really does just associate the South to me, the summer in the South to me, and unfortunately the civil rights movement and the issues around racial discrimination and cruelty that happened in the 60s. So it's set in 1964. It's about a young girl named Lily Owens whose mom is killed. She dies. I think she's killed. Yeah, she is. And Lily is being raised by her dad and a woman who cares for her. And the woman's name is Rosaline. And Rosaline is walking with Lily one day, and she insults some white men. I think she is about to go to vote, if I recall, because the right to vote had just been granted by President Johnson. And she says something, and they beat her up, and she's incarcerated, and lots of things happen. And I won't spoil if you haven't read it, but oh my gosh, it's a delicious, delicious book. Then I read The Mermaid Chair, which was written a couple of years later, and it is also set in the South, and it's a story of a woman named Jessica who goes away to a monastery to find some peace and well-being, and she meets and falls in love with a monk, and that is quite a challenging love story. In fact, the first paragraph of this novel, the first sentence of this novel, remains one of my favorite. And it starts with, "In the middle of my marriage, when I was above all Hugh's wife and Dee's mother, one of those unambiguous women with no desire to disturb the universe, I fell in love with a Benedictine monk." That I adored it. I have a friend who did not adore it as much as I did, but we had lots of great discussions about it, which is always fun. But I do remember that, again, it's set in the South, the heat, the summer, the sea, the shells, the creation of a mermaid chair. It is just neat, 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 neat. Then I read The Invention of Wings, which came out in 2014. I read it right after it came out. Oh my God, that was my favorite one of all 3 of them. And that's tough because I've loved every single novel. But The Invention of Wings is about a real life historical figure, Sarah Grimke, but it's a fictional account of her life in some ways. But the story begins when she reaches a certain age, and for her birthday, her parents give her her own slave, which Sarah is not really agreeable to. This is not something that she wanted. She disagrees with slavery even at a young age, and she really fights back and pushes back about this gift and tries to give her back or give her away to someone else. The slave that they gifted her name is Hetty. They also call her Handful because she's kind of she's pretty bold young girl. So she and Hetty begin a relationship that is very unique because she doesn't want a slave, but she recognizes that she can help Hetty in a very important way by teaching her to read, by making sure that she is literate. The story follows both of them across a span of time. It is heartbreaking and real and fantastic and so rich and deep. And it's in Charleston, South Carolina, which is a special place to me too, because my sister lived there for a time, and so I'd spent summers in Charleston. I've always sort of been drawn to the history of Charleston, and this particular time period to me is really an important one, and it's rich in detail. Sarah Grimke, if you look her up, she is very famous for being a pioneer in the abolitionist movement, and in really freeing slaves and ending slavery, and connecting people to the values and principles of freedom for all, and especially for women. And so she and her sister have a long history in this movement. And I actually, after I read this book, I went to a museum, and I think it was either in Savannah or Charleston. We were on a trip not too long after this, and I had just finished it. And I saw an exhibit about women in this movement in abolition, and I saw her and her sister's stories in this museum, and some artifacts that they had created from her home and from the things that she wrote. They published a lot of material to try to implore people to listen to what they believed was the right thing to do. I was crying in the museum because I had just finished the book, and I was just so struck by the work that she did. She was tireless in this effort, and the compassion and caring person compassionate and caring person that she was. To read a novel that is written about her and about what could have been her story is incredible. And Sue Monk Kidd did a great job of it. So if you've not read any of these books, I highly encourage you to read them. They do definitely have a summer feel, a summer in the South feel, and they're not always lighthearted, but there are parts of them that are, certainly, and they're emotional reads, and they're just really deeply and richly written. So I hope you'll take a look at them for your summer reads. If you've read them before, maybe take another look, as I hope to do. These are pretty quick. The Invention of Wings is a good sized tome, but these are a lot smaller and a quick read for sure. I hope you're enjoying the beginning of your summer. It's just at the peak. In fact, this video may go out on the summer solstice. I'm filming ahead because I'm going out of town, but I am so excited to tune into the energy of the solstice, to tune into vacation reading soon, to even work reading on my trip out of town this week. I just love to travel and read, and so I'll be doing that and hopefully getting out a little bit in the sun and just really sharing a good book with you as I go along. Like this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Share it with others. Tell me what you think of Sue Monk Kidd, or tell me what you think you might read this summer, and if these might be on your list. And as always, happy reading. Bye.